Hello there, my name's Fran Sands. Welcome to myboxingcoach.com. Something a little bit different. So next weekend, Saul Canelo Alvarez takes on Sergey Kovalev at light heavyweight, world title. And I got a couple of requests to maybe do a technical preview of that fight. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at the physical, tactical and stylistic aspects of the fight, and what I want more than anything is for you to learn something from it. It's not just about going, here's the fight, here's what might happen, here's the prediction. You know, I want it to be something that's of value in respect that you can develop your learning and maybe pick up one or two tips. I'm always a little bit reluctant. I remember doing one of these type of videos. I mean, I'm doing a demonstration technical preview today. I did a talk a while ago on Mayweather and Pacquiao, and I remember a guy called me Flomo. I thought it was some reference to the famous US sprinter of the 80s and 90s. Apparently it wasn't. I've got an unhealthy interest in Floyd Mayweather, apparently. People get emotional, so I'm hoping to keep it fairly technical and I don't care who wins, just want to see a good fight. After that technical preview, I come back with 3 answers to questions that have been posed to me on in the various comment sections and email responses. One about being a coach and who can be, one about sort of diet and nutrition, and one about sparring. So yeah, a full video. Let's see how it goes. Here's the Alvarez Kovalev technical preview. Cheers. Okay, a technical fight preview. First one of these I've ever done in a sort of demonstration mode. And this is, we're going to look at the fight this coming weekend. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Sergey Crusher Kovalev. Alvarez stepping up to light heavyweight. Now, as with everything I do with my boxing coach, I don't want this is not just a, oh, let's talk about the fight and I'll give you the prediction and yeah, we'll see whether that works. I just don't have time for that. It's not. What I want this to do is that you can take something from it. You can take some learning from it, either technical, tactical, or stylistically about what these boxers bring. I'll give a little bit of a talk on some of the tactical considerations, maybe that each camp is looking at. So let's have a little look at the styles of each to start with. Kovalev, stance, classic Russian, Eastern European amateur boxing system stance, bodyweight central. His stance is quite wide. He's a 6-footer. He's 6 foot tall, but his stance is quite wide, and his body weight is central, unless he's on the attack, in which he allows his body weight to go on the front leg. So there's his stance, and it's lovely and balanced. When you look at Kovalev's stance, he has got a really nice, I think, a really nice stance. Lots of control of that body weight shift central to the front leg. His stock in trade, the thing that he does best, is the jab, lay back, and straight shots. So you're kind of from the front. He often does that Muhammad Ali thing where he turns his upper half and he'll open his body up to fire a backhand and then come back with straights. So his long range, particularly his straight shots, are where his strength lies. So it's jab, lay back. So this is his thing, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And again, that is born of his amateur boxing pedigree. I don't know his amateur boxing record, but he's classically a Russian stance. He's got everything that you see as a leftover of that system. Now, a couple of key observations I think about Kovalev. I think in the last couple of years, I think his close range work has begun to falter a little. So when he's up close, he kind of sees, he tries to do his damage on the way in as opposed to at close range. So he doesn't really bring shots up. He tends to come in and bring shots over onto the opponent as he moves into contact. I also see him now, in the past, his jab's been excellent, bringing it back. Now I see him in his last few fights, his jab's kind of stayed down. I don't know whether that's because things are slowing up a little bit, but as he's throwing his jab, he'll leave it out there because it's missed, and he's kind of like, okay, try and manage the range of the opponent. And thirdly, he's one of these boxers. I think Anthony Joshua suffers from this as well, that second wind thing. So I think in the mid rounds, he really struggles until he gets through it and then gets his second wind. I don't know whether it's an actual real thing, but I've certainly felt it as a young competing boxer, and I see it all the time. You work through where you're exhausted and then you come out the other side and you get into a flow. So that's Kovalev, basic kind of stuff. So Canelo, I'm very fortunate in that a little while ago I did a really in-depth analysis of Canelo and his style for some of my other online students. So Canelo, I think he's got the best jab in world boxing. He out-jabs taller people. Now, when I say I think he's got the best jab in world boxing, his stance is functional. He wants his stance to be a platform to deliver all of the other stuff. It's not flashy. He does some amazing footwork up close, but generally speaking, he's got a solid functional stance. Body weight central, or again, he'll kind of lean forward a little bit to make the most of his height. Only 5'8". Kovalev's a 6-footer. But when he throws his jab, so if I throw my jab in correctly and I don't rotate, you'll still be able to see this shoulder when I throw my jab. Now, if I rotate my body, you can't see that shoulder anymore. The key thing being, I am maximising the power of the jab, but most vitally, I'm maximising the length of the jab. That is absolutely maximum length. I'm not overreaching. This is where I think Canelo's so strong. He's got this amazing jab. Watch how he uses his jab. He'll be there, and he'll just smack it out, and it'll be really powerful. Keep an eye out for that. I think that's going to be an absolutely key weapon. Secondly, he has this really high guard, almost peekaboo. A lot of the time his hands are really high up here, which is great as a coach, as a trainer. You're always relieved. The really good thing for Canelo is that it means he can be really minimal with his movements and his rolls. He saves energy. He can be minimal because if the shot, if his roll isn't or the slip isn't enough, his hands are still high, so he's a double layer of protection. He doesn't take a lot of shots because his defence is really good. And he's an active counter-puncher. He is an aggressive counter-puncher. Everyone just kind of seeks to pigeonhole boxers, and I've heard people say, oh, he's a counter-puncher. Okay, but he's the ultimate counter-puncher, really. He makes things happen, and he uses that thing as well. He'll come off the jab. So the jab will be used. He has different types of jab. He looks to break the opponent's face open. Nice sort of approach. But he'll also use it as a kind of something to trigger the opponent. His hooking ability is second to none, and his body punching is second to none. So, two quite different styles. Let's talk through some of the considerations that I kind of think about. What would I do? What would I be, if I was working in one or other of the corners? Okay, so is height and reach going to be an issue? Kovalev's 6 foot, Canelo's 5'8", 4-inch difference. 2-inch difference in reach. Remember that reach is measured from fingertip to fingertip. So Canelo's 70 inches, or 70 and a half, I think, and Kovalev's 72 and a half. So in fact, Kovalev's got an inch reach advantage at each end. It's not a lot. And we might say, oh, he's taller, so Canelo has to punch up. Well, Kovalev has a wide stance central, his knees bent. So already, he probably drops about 2 inches or so, based upon the stance. I don't think height and reach is going to be a big deal. I think in the first part of the fight, we're going to see quite a bit of long range stuff. And I think what's going to be really interesting, I think Canelo matches Kovalev at long range. In fact, I think he might even outwork him at long range. I think he'll be more successful. I don't think Canelo will rush to take it to close range. I think he'll be patient, and I think he'll seek to really stamp his authority, make his mark at long range. What about strength? Canelo's going up from middleweight up to light heavy. It's a stone in weight. It's a big difference. Some argue that Canelo's already a big fella anyway and can put that weight on. We all know the recent history. I'm not going to go into any of that. Mexican beef and all that stuff. But I look at it this way. Look, he's fought, for my money, one of the strongest, physically strongest middleweights since Marvin Hagler in Golovkin. You know, I think he was, my personal opinion, he was really lucky to get the draw the first time. I think he was lucky to earn the victory the second time against Golovkin. But I wouldn't begrudge it. But Golovkin's super strong. I think Canelo can deal with strength well. I think Kovalev's ability to gas out a little in those middle rounds, I think, is going to be key. First few rounds, Canelo works at long range, and it's going to be a battle of that counter punch, jab, lay back, bang, bang. And then we're going to see Canelo land them straight shots and slip and move off to either side. I think Kovalev just happens to be a little bit one-dimensional. I don't mean that in a bad way. I love watching his style. I think there's lots you can learn off, and particularly that. Boom, boom, boom. This is boxing bread and butter. This is meat and drink to a boxer. That ability at long range to fire long range shots, because most of the fight is at that place. That's where you can break an opponent up. So expect that kind of tussle, long range tussle early on. And then I expect Canelo to start overpowering with body shots. I see, I don't know, it could be sixth or eighth round, sort of mid rounds. I think Canelo possibly stops him with body shots. Just an opinion, just my thoughts. Key thing is I want you to take some of the interesting style characteristics. Kovalev, you know. I think one of the things Kovalev could do, actually, when we talked about his body weight being central or on the front leg when he attacks, I think early rounds, if he can drop his body weight back onto the back leg a little bit, be a bit more upright and bring himself that little extra couple of inches away from Canelo, I think he has a good chance then of beating Canelo at the long game. So for them early rounds, rather than being bodyweight central, just drop the bodyweight back. He can do that. The Eastern European amateur boxing system teaches 6 different variations of stance. So he can do that. He'll know how to do that. I think it's something. I think it's an option to try and match it early on. We'll see what happens, won't we? Okay, there you go. That's a technical style, a preview for you. Thank you. Right, I hope you enjoyed that. And that you got something from it. I didn't want it to be a bog standard sort of technical or preview of the fight. I hope you've been able to pick something up, particularly, you know, the jab of Alvarez and the ability to jab lay back 1-2 of Kovalev. 2 really cool things to try out. On to the questions. I've got 3 questions this week, so I'm going to try and whiz through them now and give you a little bit of something to think about. So, first question from Christopher Moltisanti. Loved your work in The Sopranos. Can someone who has never fought be a boxing coach? Some boxing people might, some true boxing people will get me on this and will agree, but others may not. Yes, absolutely, 100%. You need to have an interest in, or an involvement in sport. Having been involved in some kind of competitive sport will have been a bonus. But look, I've broken boxing down into just over 60 skills, 60 individual skills. And the thing about a skill is that it can be learned. It's a technical series of mechanical actions with the body. you can learn that. You can learn how to look for when it's done well and when it's not done so well, and you can learn mechanisms for improving it. And then you tie all of those skills together in various different ways. And that's boxing. Now, the fact that I was a boxer has probably helped in two ways. Number one, and the most important way for me, is that I feel empathy. But I feel empathy for the struggles, the emotional struggles before a fight that a boxer has, and the difficulty of training and making weight and all that kind of stuff. So I can have some empathy there with them, and also, because I've been coached by some great coaches over the years, I've picked stuff up off them, so I understand the style. So you get a bit of a head start. The key thing about if you've never boxed is get in and do coaching, be around other coaches, coach boxers, learn off other coaches. It will take longer. Undoubtedly, it'll take longer for you to feel comfortable, for you to feel comfortable in the role as a coach. But you absolutely can be a boxing coach without having boxed. We'll see what people come back with on that. Second question from Gloucestershire Magic. Fran, love your foundation course. Refer to it often. Thank you. Could you give any diet and nutrition tips in terms of how to stay disciplined and on track with good food? Okay, I'm no expert in this area, but I don't, in many ways, I think I know enough to be able to help my sort of boxers in what we do. I'll tell you a quick story. A little while ago, we took a team of 6 boxers to Hull for an international box cup, 3 days of competition, intense, probably touching 1,000 fights, I think there were. It was great success. We came back with 3 golds and a silver out of that team of 6. Really happy with that. But interestingly, a couple of the lads were battling to make weight in the days before. And about 2 weeks before, one of our boxers, he's a great kid, he was 51 kilos. He was he was 50 kilos. He was boxing at 49. A week before we were going away, we weighed him, and he's 52 kilos. And I'm like, how's that happened? You're a kilo heavier than you were last week. What is going on there? Why is that? And he kind of goes, so sorry for my American friends, a kilogram is about 2 pounds, just in case you're not on the metric system. And he goes, I don't know, I've been eating well. I've been eating fine. And I said, okay, well, what did you have for breakfast this morning? And he said, bacon and egg on toast. And I said, how's bacon and egg on toast? Like, how is that the breakfast of someone who's struggling to make weight? And he goes, no, Franny, but bacon's boss, isn't it? For those who aren't from around these parts, boss means amazing, awesome. I couldn't argue, a bacon sandwich is something special. The thing is, he just wasn't eating properly, and that was the battle. When we were there, though, so we rented a house for 3 days, coaches and the 6 boxers, so we managed everything. Those 2 boxers, we struggled on day 1. We had to do some burning weight off, which I never like doing. But we managed their intake of food over the 3 days, and they lost 2 pounds in 2 days. They lost £1 a day because we were managing their food. Brown rice, chicken breast, salmon, wholemeal pasta, good, nutritious food. But we cut out all of the other rubbish. So it can be done now. For me, it's about writing stuff down. Let me explain what I do. I do all the cooking in my house. I cook for my family. I have a 4-week menu every Sunday night. And I cycle that 4-week menu. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. At the end of week 4, we go back to week 1. On a Sunday night, I prepare the family menu for the week. Now, it was the same as it was for the last week 1. Sometimes I'll swap out a meal, but I know exactly what we're having. I have a list of ingredients that I know I've got to have in place for those meals. They're all short duration meals. It doesn't take me long to cook them. Busy, The week is made up where I've managed the ingredients so that I'm reusing some ingredients, so we save lots of money based upon that. But we get good nutrition. You'll have red meat once a week, chicken once a week, fish a couple of times a week, vegetarian. You get it. And on Sunday night, I can go down and go, yeah, these are the meals. We don't need that. We've got that. We've got that. I give a shopping list to my wife on a Monday morning. And then that's it. Every night then I prepare either the night before or when I get home and I've got 30 minutes before I come to the boxing club to help out. It's difficult for the first few weeks. I use an app called Evernote, which is like a productivity app, Evernote. And I find recipes and go, I like that, and I'll put that in. And then each recipe then, I know what ingredients are needed. The key thing is I stick to that and we manage that menu and it works brilliantly well. Once you get through the first 3 or 4 weeks, it works really well. So that's my tip. Sunday night, design your menu for the week, write it down, obtain the ingredients. Once you've written it down, you're more likely to stick with it. Hope that helps. Final question. How hard does one go in sparring? Is the aim to knock the sparring partner out? And that's from Rocksteady. No. I'll put a link below about the 3 types of sparring. Look, evidence over the last decade tells us unequivocally concussions, mild concussions, are really not good for you. Okay, they're really not good for you over the long term. All the evidence is there. I tell you once actually, when I was boxing, I was about 17, 18, about 6 foot behind me, sparring, one of my pals in here, he was back to the ropes, I moved in towards him, I got hit with this shot, I don't know what shot it was, everything went bright white, blindingly bright white. I was still on my feet, I was up close, I was blinking, and gradually my vision came back from the centre out. Fuzzy headed for a day or so after that. After concussion, I know that was a concussion. It had to be bright white, and I look back and I'd see it into my memory. I don't want kids in that ring experiencing that unnecessarily. And if 2 boxers are in a spar and one or both are going for the knockout, that's a spar out of control. No one's learning it. I know pros, I speak to pros about this, guys who've been pros, have retired, and we are absolutely convinced that most of the long-term damage done to a boxer is done in the sparring, in the prep for a fight. So, no, it's got to be managed. It's got to be the right type of sparring. Watch the video. I'll post a link down below. That explains all. Okay, one last little point. We did lots of drills in the previous video. I love this saying that I heard off the sort of Special Forces. I think it was the Navy SEALs. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. When you work your drills, be slow, be steady, get it smooth. Another way of putting this, if you're shit at the small stuff, you'll be shit at the big stuff. Get the small stuff right. Focus. Slow it down. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. The smoother you are, the faster you'll be as you become more adept and equipped. Sign up to the Beginner Boxer Toolkit. It's a book that you can download that helps you nail the basics. The basics never let you down. 95%, 90% of what the top operators do with the basics, they just do them very well. That book will tell you how. Otherwise, enjoy your upcoming week, and fingers crossed we'll see you next weekend. Thank you.